I was refilling my coffee cup in the break room when Victoria, my new boss, walked up behind me with that cold smile she always wore. "Sarah," she said, not even waiting for me to turn around. "We need to discuss your future here. Some people think you're getting a little too ambitious for your own good." I slowly set my coffee cup down on the counter and turned to face her. "My name is Sarah Chen, 34 years old, and until 6 months ago, I was this company's most successful project manager. But with Victoria's arrival, everything had started to change." "Ambitious," I said calmly. "Interesting word choice." Victoria's smile widened. "Sarah, you're a fantastic employee, but sometimes you need to put individual goals aside for team harmony. That's why we're transferring you to marketing support." Marketing support. 3 levels down. From my corner office to a small desk. 5 years of career progress erased with a single sentence. "I understand," I said, because I really did understand. Victoria was afraid of me. When I started at Madison Creative Agency, the company was a newly founded small advertising agency in Manhattan. They only rented 2 rooms on the 8th floor of a 22-story skyscraper. I joined them as a fresh graduate from Stanford with my marketing degree, but I had no experience whatsoever. On my first day, CEO Jonathan showed me a small desk. "Sarah, this is your spot. You'll start with simple tasks, but if you work hard, you'll move up." And I really did work hard. In my first month, I organized client files and started analyzing trends that the company had never tracked before. In my second month, I prepared an alternative strategy for the Johnson & Associates campaign we had lost. "This is just for experience," Jonathan said. "But let's see what you come up with." The presentation I prepared in 3 days caught Johnson's attention. Not just their attention, it won them back. "Who is this young lady?" Johnson had asked. "I want to work with her." In my first year, I brought in 3 major clients to the company. But I didn't just bring in clients, I also improved operational systems. I moved the old filing system to a digital platform and automated the client tracking process. In my second year, Jonathan offered me the chance to build the digital marketing department. "Sarah, you understand the future of this business. Build this department from scratch." At that time, social media marketing was just starting to develop. I spent 6 months researching, worked with the best freelancers, and created a completely new revenue stream for the company. In my third year, I developed the digital-first campaign that increased the company's revenue by 200%. This campaign was talked about in the industry and got Jonathan featured in Forbes magazine. In my fourth year, the company rented the entire 8th floor. Jonathan offered me the corner office. "Sarah, you're not just an employee anymore. You're the architect of this company." In my 5th year, I had a team of 12 people under me. I had the title of marketing director. Everyone saw me as the company's rising star. In fact, last summer at the party CEO Jonathan threw at his Hamptons house, he pulled me aside and said, "Sarah, I'm thinking of making you a partner next year. Half of this company is your work." I believed him too. It was the best period of my professional life. Until that fall, when Victoria Norton arrived. And that's when everything changed. Jonathan introduced her as someone with 15 years of experience in the industry, someone who would take the company to the next level. Victoria Norton, 42 years old, had a prestigious MBA from Wharton and had previously managed 2 major agencies in New York. In our first meeting, she looked into my eyes as she shook my hand. "Sarah, I've heard a lot about you. I appreciate your impact at this company." She appreciated it. The word choice was interesting. She had said, "I appreciate your impact, not your success or your work." Thank you, Victoria. I hope we can do great things together. That day, Victoria and I took a company tour together. We visited every department and I introduced her to every employee. When showing her the digital marketing department, I had said, "I built this department from scratch." "Impressive," Victoria had said, "but now it's time to look at the bigger picture. Individual achievements are nice, but company culture is more important." Company culture. I would hear this phrase a lot. In her first week, Victoria invited me to tour her office. "Sarah, I want to discuss strategy with you." She was sitting at her desk reviewing my file. "Impressive rise in 5 years," she said. "But sometimes, rising too fast can upset the balance." "What do you mean?" "For example, some people on your team are uncomfortable with your approach. Emily came to me last week saying you were too demanding." Emily, my closest work colleague. "Really? Emily never said anything to me." Victoria smiled. "Of course she wouldn't. You're her manager. But I have an open-door policy. Anyone can talk to me." That was the first red flag. Victoria was starting to turn my team against me. In the second month after Victoria started, the changes became more apparent. First, my name started being removed from weekly management meetings. Why am I not attending Monday meetings anymore? When I asked, Victoria's assistant, Jennifer, said, "We're adapting to the new management structure. Victoria wants to keep meetings more focused." The next week, I was no longer attending client presentations. The monthly reviews with Johnson and Associates, relationships I had built, strategies I had developed, were now being handled by Mark. "Mark needs to develop in client relations," Victoria had said. "You focus on more operational matters." Operational. It wasn't the first time I'd heard that word. Victoria was slowly pushing me into operational roles. The third month, worse came. My own projects started being given to other people. The Johnson and Associates campaign, a project I had worked on for 2 months, developing the strategy myself, was given to Mark by Victoria. "Mark needs a creative perspective," Victoria had said. "You're stronger in report writing and analysis." Report writing, analysis, operational tasks, non-creative, unimportant tasks. In the fourth month, I wasn't invited to the meeting with the company's biggest client, Hartwell Corporation. I had won this client. I had been managing them for 3 years. "Victoria, why am I not attending the Hartwell meeting?" When I asked, she said, "You're so busy, Sarah. Mark and I can handle this meeting." That night driving home, I cried in my car. My 5 years of work was being eroded before my eyes. But I still didn't fully see her bigger plan. In the 5th month, I understood the truth. Lisa, our graphic designer, came to me one day very upset. "Sarah, can I talk to you?" "Of course, Lisa, what's wrong?" "Victoria changed my working hours. I'm only going to work part-time now. She said budget constraints." Lisa was the most talented designer in the company. She had designed all our award-winning campaigns. "This is ridiculous," I said. "Talk to Jonathan." I did. He told me to respect Victoria's decision. That week, I also talked to Emily. "Emily, did you talk to Victoria about my management style?" Emily was surprised. "What? No, Sarah, we never talked. Why would she say that?" That's when I understood. Victoria wasn't just sabotaging me. She was systematically neutralizing the powerful women in the company. Jennifer, the accounting manager, had resigned last month for personal reasons. The real reason was Victoria constantly questioning her and restricting her authority. Rachel, the client relations director, had moved to another company for new opportunities. But in reality, Victoria had transferred her most important clients to other departments. Victoria wasn't just targeting me. She was giving all the powerful women positions in the company to men. Mark, Steve, David, they had all gotten promoted during Victoria's tenure, and I, considered the founder of the company, was now going to be a marketing support specialist. That night at home, I was at a crossroads. Should I fight or should I find another company? Liam, my husband, was talking to me in the kitchen. Sarah, you built this company. Do you think you should give up so easily? But Liam, Victoria has the CEO's full support. I'm just an employee. Are you really just an employee? That's when I remembered the documents my father had left as inheritance, the official papers kept in the safe at home, which I had never opened. That night, I opened the safe. Inside were all the documents of my father's real estate investments, and at the bottom, a thick file, 222 Madison Avenue, property deed. 222 Madison Avenue, our building's address. When I opened the file, I was frozen in shock. Sarah Chen, sole property owner. Purchase date, March 15, 2019. When my father bought this building, he had only told me, I made a good investment. He never explained the details. That night, I studied the documents until morning. According to my father's will, the building was completely mine. Rent contracts, building management, everything was under my control. And when I looked at Madison Creative Agency's lease contract, I saw an interesting clause. Annual review right. Property owner can adjust rent amount according to market value. That's when the plan came to mind. First, I called my lawyer. David Mitchell was the real estate lawyer my father had worked with for years and was now managing my portfolio. David, hello. Can we discuss that rent update for 222 Madison Avenue again? Sure, Sarah. Which units are we talking about? Floors 8, 9, and 10, Madison Creative Agency. Ah, the advertising agency? Yes, their rent is really way below market. A 40 to 50% increase is our legal right according to current market rate. Perfect! Start the legal procedure. And David, this will be personal. I want every detail flawless. David was quiet. He was my father's old friend and had known me since childhood. Sarah, are you having problems at work? Let's say it's time to ensure justice. I understand. A 30-day notice period is required. After that, either the new rent is accepted or eviction proceedings begin. The next step was more delicate. I needed to analyze the company's financial situation. Fortunately, with my 5 years of experience, I had worked closely with CFO Daniel and had access to financial reports. Daniel, I said over the phone, I need Q3 reports for financial analysis in my new position. Of course, Sarah, sending them right away. By the way, this position change is really ridiculous. I don't understand what Victoria is thinking. Daniel's support was encouraging. When I examined the reports, I saw how fragile the company's situation was. Rent made up 35% of monthly expenses. If rents increased by 40%, the company could go into serious financial crisis. The cash flow analysis was even more striking. The company only had 3 months of cash reserves. Victoria didn't know how difficult a situation she would put herself in. And the final step, timing it right. I wanted to strike when Victoria was trying to achieve a big success. 2 weeks later, Victoria organized a big client presentation. Robert Johnson, CEO of Johnson & Associates, would visit the company. Not just the CEO, but the entire C-suite team would come. Victoria was saying this would be the biggest deal of her career, one that would put the company on the Fortune 500 list. On the day of the presentation, I saw Victoria wearing her best Armani suit, having her hair done professionally, even having her makeup done specially. In the conference room, she had gathered the entire team and was explaining her strategy one last time. This deal will take our company to the next level, Victoria was saying, pointing to the graph on PowerPoint with the laser pointer. The partnership with Johnson & Associates will open doors to all the big companies on the East Coast. Everyone needs to show A+ performance. Mark, Steve, David, all in suits, listening seriously, Victoria's golden boys. Sarah, Victoria said, turning to me, you'll be here too, of course, for background support. Background support, of course. I was the person who first brought Johnson to the company, but now I'm background support. Just then my former assistant Emma, came running.
Out of breath, panicked. Victoria, I'm sorry, but there's an urgent situation. A man from downstairs wants to talk to you.
Victoria frowned, looking annoyed. Now, Emma, the client is coming in 15 minutes. He said it was very urgent, something about rent. Victoria's face changed. Her confidence vanished instantly. Rent? What rent problem? We have no problems with our landlord. I was sitting quietly in the corner, sipping my coffee, watching Victoria's stress was entertaining. The building owner's lawyer is waiting downstairs. He wants to serve a 40% rent increase notification. Victoria's coffee cup slipped from her hand and hit the table. Coffee spilled everywhere. 40%? That's impossible. We have a long-term contract. Emma looked helplessly. I don't know, but he looked very official, legal documents and all. David, my father's lawyer, climbed the stairs and entered the conference room. Suited, serious, professional, a leather briefcase in his hand. Good afternoon, I'm David Mitchell, legal counsel for the owner of this building. I'm here to serve a rent increase notification. Victoria jumped up. This is crazy. Who owns this building? I need to talk to them directly. David smiled and looked at me. Certainly, sir. Here she is. Everyone in the conference room turned toward me. Mark's mouth dropped open. Emma couldn't believe her eyes, and Victoria was frozen. Sarah? She stammered. What do you mean? I stood up, slowly setting my cup on the table. Victoria, let me introduce you. I'm Sarah Chen, Madison Creative Agency's 5-year employee and owner of this entire building.
I'll never forget the expression on Victoria's face.
Shock, fear, disbelief, and pure rage. All at the same time. It was like her world was collapsing. This is impossible, she stammered. You're just a marketing specialist. David opened the file, spread the official documents on the table. In official records, since 2019. Sarah Chen, sole property owner. Rent contract is subject to annual reviewable clause. But how? Victoria's voice wasn't coming out. Inheritance, I said calmly. My father was a real estate investor. This building was one of his most successful investments. Everyone in the conference room was watching us in amazement. Mark, Lisa, Emma, Daniel. None of them could believe their eyes. They were now learning who the person they had worked with for 5 years really was. Victoria, I said, taking a step toward her. Last month you told me individual ambitions need to be put aside for team harmony, remember? Now I'm doing exactly the same thing. My individual goal is to obtain maximum rental income from this building. Victoria's voice still wasn't coming out. She was in shock. David, how long does the legal procedure take? 30-day notice period. If the new rent isn't accepted, eviction proceedings begin. And what's the current market value? For this size, in this location, minimum $65,000 monthly. Victoria's eyes widened. $65,000? We're currently paying $45,000. Yes, I said, smiling. Dad kept you on quite generous terms. But now, business is business, right? Just then, there was movement at the door. Robert Johnson, CEO of Johnson & Associates, and CFO Mary Williams appeared at the door. Excuse me, Johnson said. Are we interrupting? Are we on time for our meeting? Victoria turned around in panic. Mr. Johnson, yes, absolutely. We're just having a minor misunderstanding. Johnson saw where I was standing. Ah, you must be Sarah Chen. I reviewed your Hartwell digital campaign. Extraordinary work. Victoria's jaw dropped. Johnson knew me. And he didn't just know me, he appreciated me. "Thank you, Mr. Johnson," I said, smiling. "I hope your meeting goes productively." Then I turned to Victoria. "By the way, Victoria, thank you for my new office space. The 14th floor is a bit cramped, but I own every floor in this building, so I have options." Johnson frowned. "I'm sorry. Are there some internal issues? Should we reschedule?" Victoria's face had turned bright red. "No, no. Everything is perfectly fine. Let's proceed with our presentation." From that day on, everything developed very rapidly. Victoria had to inform company management about the rent increase. CFO Daniel called me in panic. "Sarah, is this real? Are you really the owner of the building?" "Yes, Daniel. For 3 years." "So this rent increase, is it negotiable?" I stayed silent. Every moment Victoria humiliated me. Every insult, every act of sabotage went through my mind. "Daniel, business isn't personal, right? Victoria taught me that." "Sarah, please. The company can't afford this increase. We'll have to downsize dramatically." "Maybe that's exactly what this company needs. Some restructuring." The next week, Victoria called an emergency board meeting. Jonathan announced that the company was entering a financial crisis. The Johnson and Associates deal had been canceled. "Why did the Johnson deal fall through?" asked one of the board members. Victoria was shifting uncomfortably. "There were some internal complications." "What kind of complications?" Victoria looked at me, then looked down. "Our landlord raised the rent by 40%. Mr. Johnson felt the company was unstable." "Who's our landlord? Can't we negotiate with them directly?" Silence. Victoria couldn't answer. Jonathan looked confused. "Victoria, who owns this building? We should contact them directly." David attended the meeting and explained the situation. He explained that Sarah Chen was the property owner and that legal rights were clear. "Wait," Jonathan said. "Sarah Chen? Our Sarah Chen?" "Former Senior Marketing Director Sarah Chen, yes, currently classified as Marketing Support Specialist by current management." Jonathan's face changed. "Sarah, my office, now." In Jonathan's office, all the tension of 5 years exploded. "Sarah, what the hell is going on? You're the owner of the building, and you didn't tell me?" "Jonathan, I kept my personal assets separate from professional life, but when Victoria systematically destroyed my career, I decided to use my resources." "Victoria destroyed your career? Explain." For the next 30 minutes, I explained Victoria's systematic sabotage, detail by detail, being excluded from meetings, having my projects taken away, being demoted. "I built this company with you, Jonathan. I brought the biggest clients, created new departments, increased revenue by 200%, and Victoria destroyed all of that in 6 months." Jonathan's face darkened. "I had no idea. Victoria said you were struggling with team collaboration." "Did she? Check with my team. Ask Emily, ask Lisa, ask Daniel. None of them complained about me." Jonathan opened his computer. "I'm calling an emergency review. This situation needs immediate resolution." 2 hours later, an emergency meeting was held in the boardroom. Victoria, Jonathan, board members, and me. David attended as legal counsel. "Victoria," Jonathan said, "I need you to explain your decision-making process regarding Sarah's role change." Victoria stood defensive. Sarah was showing signs of being overly ambitious. It was affecting team morale. Which team members complained? "Well, It was more of a general observation. Names, Victoria. Specific complaints. Silence. Jonathan turned to me. Sarah, what are your terms? Partnership. Not just position, but equity stake in the company. And special arrangement on rent. Victoria's eyes widened. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. I want 25% equity, senior partner title, and rent reduction to $35K per month. Jonathan thought. And if we don't accept? Market rate rent, $65K per month, and I start my own agency in this building. Victoria interrupted. This is blackmail. David calmly responded. This is business negotiation. Sarah has legal rights as property owner. 2 weeks later, we signed the new partnership agreement. Sarah Chen had become a 25% partner of Madison Creative Agency. Victoria? She also submitted her resignation letter for personal reasons. Today, the corner office is mine again. But this time, I'm sitting not just as an employee, but as an equity partner. My team is back, my projects are back under my control, and the rent? What Victoria didn't know was that, as the building owner, I could set whatever rate I wanted for my own company. I gave the company a 20% discount, both profitable for me and relief for the company. Last week, I heard Victoria found a new job, much smaller agency, significantly less salary. She was writing looking for new opportunities on LinkedIn. I don't wish her harm. I just hope she learned that undermining women won't advance her career. We won back the Johnson & Associates deal. This time, I personally managed the relationship. Sarah, Mr. Johnson said, I'm glad to see you in your rightful position. Last month, Forbes magazine put our company on the rising agencies to watch list. The article gave special mention to my story. Sarah Chen proves that sometimes the best revenge is massive success. When my father bought this building, he told me, Sarah, real estate isn't just investment, it's power. If you use it at the right time, it can change your entire life. He was right. But I didn't use it just for money. I used it for justice. Victoria thought I was too ambitious. She was wrong. I wasn't ambitious enough. But now I am. And never again will anyone underestimate me, because sometimes the most powerful revenge is waiting and playing your cards at the right moment. Victoria learned this the hard way, and now the entire industry knows. You don't mess with Sarah Chen. In my building, in my office, in my company, everything is exactly where it should be. And Victoria, she's exactly where she deserves to be. Nowhere.